Welcome to the WellCast. The world has a lot to say. We're bringing a biblical perspective to those conversations.
Well, hello, friends. We have a little bonus episode coming at you guys.
Yes, we do. Bonus.
Yeah. And it is for good reason and for sad reason.
And an exciting reason.
And exciting reason.
Yeah.
Our good friend Mike here is going to be not only leaving the WellCast, but the state of California.
Yeah.
Mike's entering into a new season.
Yeah.
And we thought that on the tail of talking about trusting in the Lord and him leading your path straight, we'd have a conversation about, some things that God's been stirring in Mike's heart for a long time and where he's leading him. So, Mike, hey, man.
Hey.
Why don't you tell us first where you're headed, and then we can talk process.
Yeah. So we're moving the family out to a city called Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And we're excited about the opportunity that God's brought into our lives. And it's certainly going to be bittersweet, but we're excited about what's coming up.
Yeah. And what are you going to be doing out there?
So, the church out there is called One Church Calvary. And what they've decided is as they grow, they want to start a church network. And so what that looks like is right now they're just literally one location, but they're going to start planting different locations and hire lead pastors for those churches. And then each church will be a part of the network.
Yeah.
And they will, there'll be one elder team, one set of bylaws, kind of one set of resources, but individual congregations. And so I'll be heading out there to plant the second campus. So we're excited about that. It's an opportunity. I've always been interested in church planting and always wondered how God would bring that opportunity into my life with, me being a dad of 4 girls. And it's hard to picture how we would make ends meet, but the Lord is creative and he's provided a way.
Well, so we've just finished a conversation about discernment. Yeah. And what it means to have the Lord's understanding as he guides your path. Mm-hmm. So why don't you talk through what's the, because some people might be asking, when do you know that this is like a stirring in your heart by God and his spirit? Or when is it just something maybe you just want to run away from something or, like a negative thing?
That's a good question. I think for me,
what did that look like for you?
Yeah, it started about 2 years ago, to be honest. And there wasn't one thing where I was grumpy. I wasn't upset. The leadership at the well is fantastic. I was not frustrated, but I just started to realize that God has gifted me in ways that I'm not able to be utilized here at the well, just for because of the role that I'm in and what the well needs. And so I started asking the question, okay, God, what do you want in the future? And I said, maybe it's for me to be here for 20 years, and maybe it's something different. So I started praying about that. And honestly, it was a lot of radio silence. It wasn't like opportunities. I mean, I had opportunities, but they weren't anywhere in the ballpark of what I thought was what God wanted for my life. And so, just kind of was as content as I could be, in this season, and excited to continue to do the ministry here at the well that God had called me to. And, all of a sudden what we started to realize was that God had provided an opportunity. And so we looked into that opportunity. And from that point, it was a roller coaster for us. Yeah. It's not like everything's linear and it's just everything was, yes, this is what God wants. When you enter in, I had a former mentor of mine who told me, hey, when you are discerning, put up the sails and see where God blows. Mm-hmm. And so we just decided to put up the sails. And as God started leading, we realized this was not going to be a linear process. So we started talking back in December with this church. And then in January, my daughter got diagnosed with cancer. Mm-hmm. And so I told them, I said, hey, just so you know, this is what we're dealing with. And so I've got to pull out and and take care of my family. And they said, hey man, we think you're the right guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so would you mind staying in contact with each other? And I said, yeah, I mean, that sounds good. I can't promise anything, but we got to make sure we got to take care of Kenzie. And they said, we want you to take care of your family. They were fantastic. The well was fantastic. They were fantastic.
Let me like dig into that a little bit. 'Cause that's first thing is like, I want people to hear the statement of 2 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time for a lot of people, right? You feel like people may have a hard time realizing that discernment can take a lot of time, like we've talked about. But then also, so you have the initial decision to say, hey, I am going to put up the sales because I think God's gifted me in ways that, not because of any malicious intent, but you're just not able to fully utilize at the well in your position. And so you did so. It took something which probably looked really enticing at first, right? It at least got you in the conversation. Yeah. Saying like, oh, wow, what if... So you started having your own dreams, your own plans, your own desires. And then, obviously, big curveball with your daughter getting sick. Yeah. So walk us through this process of saying, okay, because that takes a lot of trust. Yeah. Right?
Well, I mean, my first thought was my family's my first priority. And, for everyone listening, as you're discerning, your family can be the first priority. Like God wants it that way. He's given you your family to steward them well, to love them and care for them. And so when Kenzie got sick, it was very easy for me to just go, I just need to make sure we're making wise decisions. Yeah. And she's got to get treatment. She's got to get treatment now. We knew that the prognosis was good. And so, but
you knew she needed support.
She needed support. She needed treatment. We have a fantastic community here. We love our life group. We love the people that call the well home. I mean, so many faces that are going through my mind.
And her own life group, right?
Yeah. And she has a life group, and she has, Rachel Tuttle, who is her, the director of the kids ministry or elementary ministry here, has been fantastic. She loves Rachel. And so we just wanted her to be around her own people. And so I told them, it wasn't even much of a thought. It was like, no, I need to provide for my family. I need to take care of Kenzie. So we need to pull back. And they were great. I mean, literally their first words were, we want you to take care of your family. We don't care about the timeline.
Which I think is a level of, you're speaking of it in ways like, oh, no brainer. But at the same time, like, there is a desire to align yourself with the Lord's desires, which is, Mike, your ambition is second to the well-being of the people who you've been called to steward and care for.
Yeah, and there are sometimes, when you're discerning different things in your life where it's a really hard decision. Yeah. And there are other times where it's like, this is an easy decision. Yeah. And for me, this was an easy decision. I didn't know how they were going to react. I had an idea because I know the type of people that they have proven to be.
But they could have said, okay, well, we're going to keep looking for people.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And for me, I actually told them, I said, if you want to keep looking or you want to go with a different candidate, like that's great, because this is what I have to do.
Well, and that takes trust, right? Yeah. To be like, okay, well, if that's the case, then... and even when they say, oh, no, we think you're the guy, somebody else might come up. Yeah. And you have to trust that, well, if the Lord provided this opportunity, he's going to provide another one.
Yeah. Yeah. And the Lord wasn't surprised by Kenzie's diagnosis. Yeah. And so she, we did start treatment here in Fresno, and Valley Children's was incredible. And then along the way, after, 6 weeks, we got a scan, and it had shown a pretty remarkable improvement. And then 12 weeks in, we got another scan, and it showed even better improvement. And so now all of a sudden the conversation kind of shifts. Yeah. And, they were asking, they would check in and they would just say, hey, how's Kenzie doing? That's all. Yeah. They didn't ask about the job. They didn't, nothing like that. But when we gave them the good news, they just said, hey, we still think you're the guy. We would love to pick up conversations when it's appropriate. Yeah. And I actually said, we have a few more weeks we have to get through. And then if everything goes well, we can pick up those conversations.
Okay. Well, were there any other linchpin decision points?
Yeah. You have to have all the information, right? So we actually visited out there. We wanted to make sure that the church was, a place where we thought we could thrive and where my kids could be discipled.
Yeah.
And where Kristen and I could find community and my kids as well. Mm-hmm. So we went out there and we visited. I preached out there and everything went really well. And so, all in all, we came home, started praying about it and just realized this was what the Lord wanted for us.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that's been clear to me through this process, because, we're close and I've known for a long time that God's going to probably call you somewhere else because of your giftings, but is that it sounds like you've, you are very intentional that you and your wife as partners are going to be on the same page.
Yeah, we made this decision together every step of the way. And sometimes when I got cold feet, she would spur me on, and sometimes the other way. But the main focus was that we were both pursuing the Lord in this.
Yeah.
And so I could trust her to support me when I needed it, and she could trust me to support her.
Well, by now, when this comes out, anybody who's connected to you or the Well probably knows, and so this isn't like breaking news to them. But I just wanted them to hear, obviously, that story. But then I think to just maybe close us out, what has the WellCast meant to you, and what are some of the highlights for you over time?
Yeah, I think the highlights, the WellCast has been a fun place to talk about God and the things that he's doing. And, all of you who are listening have given us such a great opportunity to speak into your lives. And that's something I know Jordan and we really value. And I think some of the highlights, I've really enjoyed the journey with you. Obviously, if you go back and listen to the first episode that we did years ago, it sounds different today. We're doing series now. We didn't do that in the beginning. We had guests on. We haven't done that much, recently.
Yeah.
It's been a journey, and we figured it out along the way. And I think some of the highlights for me are the people who stop me, the people who stop me in line at the grocery store, or when I'm walking, kids into the youth group, or when we do an outdoor gathering here at the Well, and they talk about how much this podcast has impacted their life. And that's always been the hope. We started this during COVID when people didn't have a lot of connection with the church. And I think we had just always hoped that this would provide an opportunity to connect with people in our church, in our city, and really across the country if you're listening from somewhere else. So we just want to brag about Jesus. He's doing some incredible things. And because you guys are listening, you gave us the platform to be able to brag about Jesus a little bit.
Yeah. Well, if you didn't know this before this time, then now you know. And you can shoot Mike a DM on Instagram or something and just say, "Love you, gonna miss you on the WellCast." And if you already did and you haven't texted him, text him.
Yeah.
Make him feel loved and remembered.
Yeah. And I would say this, as we wrap up, I'm excited about what the Lord is calling me to, but I'm also really excited for what the Lord is calling the Well to do. The Well is a fantastic place. The leadership is great. Our ministries here are making a huge impact. And so I'm just leaving here having been invested in for 6 years now, just with the exciting feeling like the best is yet to come here.
Yeah.
So just grateful for my time here at the Well, grateful for all of you who are listening here, or those of you who've been a part of the Well, and just look forward to hearing all the stories of God's faithfulness and all the ways he's changing lives here at the Well.
Yeah, well, you'll probably ask, what's next? Who's going to partner with Jordan? Is Jordan just going to be a talking head from now on? We don't 100% know. We're leaning into the discernment of God, appropriately into what's going to happen. And, you will find out.
Yeah.
Good. So thanks for going on this journey with us, Mike. Thank you for all the time you've put in. We love you. We mean it.
Thanks, brother. Love you too.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the WellCast. As always, don't forget to subscribe and tell your friends about us. For more information about the Well Community Church, visit thewellcommunity.org.